The first Europeans to reach the American continent were the Spanish and Portuguese in the mid-15th century. However, the primary colonization of what would later become the United States began in the 17th century. The British founded their first permanent colony at Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607, marking the starting point for further expansion. Soon after, other settlements were established, including Plymouth in 1620, when pilgrims from England, led by William Bradford, fled religious persecution. These early settlers were escaping oppression from the Anglican Church and sought the freedom to create a new society in America. They believed they would find liberty in the New World. British colonial policies and tensions. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, Great Britain expanded its empire in America by creating new colonies along the eastern seaboard. These were initially trading colonies, but over time, they grew into large settlements. During this period, Britain imposed strict controls over its colonies, introducing high taxes and trade restrictions, which led to growing discontent among the colonists. The issue became especially contentious with the introduction of new taxes, such as the 1767 Townshend Acts, which prompted protests like the Boston Tea Party of 1773. This event symbolized the colonists' struggle against British control, and it marked the beginning of an open fight for independence. The War for Independence. The Revolution of 1775 to 1783 was the culmination of escalating conflicts between the colonies and Great Britain. In 1776, the 13 colonies declared their independence by adopting the Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson. The revolution was long and hard-fought, but with the support of France and the determination of the Americans, the British were forced to sign the Treaty of Paris in 1783, officially recognizing the independence of the United States. Formation of a new nation. After the war, the United States began to build its new political system. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was adopted, establishing the framework for a federal government with separate branches of power. George Washington became the first president of the United States in 1789, laying the foundations for American democracy. However, right after the war, the country faced many challenges, from an unstable economy to issues regarding the rights of minorities and Native Americans. Expansion westward and nation building. In the 19th century, the United States actively expanded its territory. In 1803, the U.S. purchased the vast Louisiana Territory from France, which doubled the size of the country. Simultaneously, the doctrine of a manifest destiny emerged, the belief that the U.S. had the right to expand across the entire continent, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This led to numerous conflicts with Native American tribes and neighboring countries. Territorial expansion was accompanied by several wars, notably with Mexico in the mid-19th century, which resulted in the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, through which Mexico ceded vast territories, including California and Texas, to the United States. Meanwhile, the nation grappled with internal tensions over slavery, which was a significant economic institution in the South. The Civil War. The main internal conflict in the United States was the division between the North and the South over the issue of slavery. The Southern states relied on slave labor for their plantations, while slavery had already been abolished in the North. This led to the Civil War of 1861 to 1865, during which the Southern states declared their secession and formed the Confederacy. The war was brutal and bloody, but the North, under President Abraham Lincoln, emerged victorious. After the war, the Reconstruction period began, during which the South was reintegrated into the Union, and slavery was formally abolished through the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in 1865. However, social and economic problems persisted, and racial discrimination continued for many years. Industrialization and immigration. By the end of the 19th century, the United States became one of the world's leading industrial powers. Railroads, factories, and new technologies transformed the economy. Millions of immigrants from Europe and other parts of the world came to the U.S. in search of better opportunities. At the same time, social issues such as poverty, inequality, and the exploitation of workers became major challenges for the country. The 20th century, a global superpower. In the 20th century, the United States began to play an increasingly important role on the global stage. During both World War I and World War II, the US was one of the principal allies that helped secure victory over the Central Powers and Nazi Germany. After World War II, the United States emerged as one of the two main superpowers in the world, alongside the Soviet Union, leading to the Cold War. During this time, the country experienced massive social change, including the civil rights movement, the cultural revolutions of the 1960s, the Vietnam War, economic crises, and significant cultural, scientific, and technological achievements. The present day. In the 21st century, the United States remains one of the world's most powerful economies and political forces. The country has witnessed technological revolutions, such as the rise of the Internet, the invention of mobile phones, and new forms of energy. However, it continues to face numerous challenges, including political polarization, social inequality, environmental concerns, and struggles for minority rights.